So today we are going to discuss about how to handle or fill the null values in a data frame using the PySpark. So let's begin then. So here is my data frame. I will show how it is looks like. tf.show. Now as you can see, here the data frame have some null values. Okay. Data frame have the columns with ID, first name, last name, email, gender, salary, and date. So having a couple of the null values. So let's count the null values first. Before that, let's try to print the schema. So now what we are going to do means define a function which is going to fill the null values. Okay. Numeric. If there are, we have the numeric columns and we have string columns and we have date columns. So define a function in such a way that if there are any string type of columns, it is going to fill with unknown. If there are any kind of numeric columns, it's going to fill with 0. If there are any kind of date columns, then it is going to fill with the future date. So this is what the flow we are going to adopt. Okay. So before that, let's try to filter out the null values. Okay. How many null values we have it. So let's define a variable called nulls count equal to df dot select using the count variable, count function in a list count. Why I using the list for the iteration purpose? Again, use the when condition. When call of C is null, when call of C is null, comma C for C in tf dot columns. Dot show. Sorry, we forgot to add alias. So that's why we got this kind of clumsy of data. Let's add alias of C. That's cool. As you can see, the email column have the 11 null values. Last name string column has the 5 null values. Salary is an integer column having the 8 null values. And the date is the date column having the 7 null values. Now the advantage of using PySpark here is PySpark or Spark automatically detect the type of the columns and fill the values according to it. So generally we will adopt this kind of statement, right? df dot fill a value to be filled, comma, subset of columns. Let's say if we see if it is an integer column, comma salary, comma some other IDs, we will adopt this kind of scenario. But now we are going to define a function which is going to identify dynamically their type and it is going to fill the values according to it. So before going further, let's discuss two things first. Is instance is a method in a Python. If it is matches to the particular type, it is going to return the Boolean value. So let's define a variable x equal to is instance 5 comma it is of integer type. Let's say print x. See, we know that 5 value is an integer type and a Boolean we return the Boolean as a true value. If it is a string, let's say we need to give it right. Okay. and we got some sort of error. Okay. In this instance, argument must be a type of tuple or tuple of types. So here we need to change slightly. I did not remember hardly how the each instance object is going to be worked, but it's going to return Boolean value if the type has been matched. Now another one, df dot schema dot names. Okay, let's say df dot schema dot names. Let me add a print statement before. So it returns the list of the columns. Okay, it's going to return the list of columns. Now let's try to print df dot schema dot field fields, I guess. So and we got the struct field and their respective type. These two we are going to use it in our function. That's why I'm just giving some sort of clarity before going ahead. So without delay, let's begin. Try to define a function with the df null underscore values. Sorry, df dot hand in null. Hand in null. It's going to take the parameter df dot columns comma date underscore columns. Why I'm saying means date doesn't comes under a numeric value or string value. It will comes under a date type. Okay. We need to tell explicitly for the date columns to the Spark. It is a date column. You need to do according to it. If it is not for the string or any, let's do for string and numeric value first. Then we will understand. Okay. Let's add some print statement. Handle string with unknown. dfstr equal to df dot same concept fill in a I'm going to pass unknown comma subset of columns. Fine. Next print, let's say numeric handle df numeric equal to df str. Why? Because string has been cleaned and we need to clean the numeric. So we are using the string data frame. Fill in a 0 subset equal to columns. Okay. Return df now. So to pass the values to the columns, okay, we are going to use the df dot schema dot names. Okay, it is going to return the list of items. Subset always requires a list of values. So df result equal to call the function hand in nulls df equals to df comma columns equal to, let's say all calls equal to df dot schema dot names. All calls. Let's say dot show here. Here itself I am showing. As you can see, previously it was null replaced with the unknown value. Okay. And try to filter the condition and we'll see what are the, is there any kind of null values presented or not. So that's why I'm using this query again where it has been written. Yeah. Copy. paste it over here. Now it is going to be dfres. dfres. Oh, sorry. I pressed the show right there. But one thing, if you carefully observe, the date column does not been updated or filled. So that's why for the date column, we need to specify explicitly. That's we are going to look into that one. Just as you can see, remaining values has been 0 and the date column still having the null values. So to overcome the date values also, let's define a parameter called date calls. Okay. Remove the return statement. Now we are going to say, okay, if the date column present in these columns, if date column is present in this column, then filter the, fill the values for date call, date underscore calls. Okay, what? Yeah, for date underscore call, any name you want. Okay, in date columns, let me rename it so that it looks good. Okay, for date in date columns, let's say use df.num. So this data frame has been cleaned for the string and numeric, and we're using this one. Let's before that convert the date column to the string. Why? So even though if you try to take this one df test, df results are fill in a 999 12 31. Okay, subset of which column this is the date. Okay, dot show. As you can see, even though we use the fill in a method for the date columns, still the null values does not been replaced because it is a date type. Now what we are going to do, convert to string, then specify the format, and again we are going to cast it to the date type. Okay, with column date call. Now I'm casting it call of date call dot cast string. Okay, now format, now fill in a df num equal to df num dot, sorry, not with column, fill in a future date 999 12 31 per subset of date call. Okay, now cast talk to date df cleaned equal to df num dot with the column date call comma call of date call dot cast date. Okay, so here either you can put a square bracket, or even if you leave as normal as it is, doesn't worry about that one. And finally come after out of the for loop and return the df cleaned. Run this pipe, run this function. Now in order to invoke this function, we need to get the date column types. Why? Because we need to pass the date columns, right? So we are going to use the isInstant option. So from the schema dot fields, we are going to identify the date type. If it is a date type, just append the values to it. Okay. Date columns list, just a variable of that one. Let's say field dot name for field in df dot schema dot fields. Okay, this is what we have seen before. If is instance field dot data type, comma date type. Okay, let's try to print this. So date df dot schema dot date type, what it is going to show you is, let me write it over here again. Print df dot uh, schema dot df dot d types, right? D types or data types is there. I guess not the data type or D type. Struct type object has no attribute. Yeah, I guess dot fields. So from the fields, if you use the data type, means we are going to get this string type or date type or integer type. Okay, that is the use of the date type, field dot data type. Okay, we just written an list comprehension field dot name for field in df dot schema dot fields. If instance, then checking if the data type is equal to date type, then store the column value. Okay, if the column value is equal to date type, then have that value in the list. This is what it says. So we have added another parameter, call that one date underscore columns, right? Yeah, equal to date column list. Run it again. So we got some error. Let's see what is going to see. A column or function date call cannot be resolved. Do you mean the date or last name or salary? Okay. Date columns. Okay, some sort of mistake has been happened. Let's see how to resolve this one. Df dot field dot name date has been came into picture, and we have the date column as well. So in detail, what it is saying? Do you mean one of the following date? Okay. Date underscore columns only. I guess where went wrong. Sorry, here it's went wrong. Let's call this function. See, null values has been replaced with the future date. Okay. So let's try to recount this one. Now we got the full length date values. Not full length date values. It means we completely fill the null values, both in string, numeric, and the date columns. So with the help of the Spark advantage. Even if you place unknown, means Spark will identify it is a string. If it is a string type, fill with unknown. If you mention 0, Spark will understand for the numeric columns. Numeric columns is int, float, double, like that. Okay. So for the all kind of numeric values, I'm going to fill with 0. But except for date column, we need to do this extra condition. Okay. By using df.schema.fields, date types, and all. Okay. So that's about this video. We have seen how to handle the null values, how to fill the null values dynamically. Okay. So in the description, I will share the source file and the source code as well. Please go to that one. Thank you.